Knows Best.
Hi, friends, and welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you guys? Happy Monday! I've missed you guys. I haven't sat down and filmed in what feels like so long now because we went on vacation. I can't wait to catch up. I am just going to start in where we left off. Okay. I filmed the last 3 episodes in a week. And actually, I didn't tell you guys because it wasn't really important information. Carter wasn't here. Carter had gone home and then his mother got COVID and he was staying there. So then he ended up being stuck there. And then he came back. I don't remember what day. So he comes back and you guys, we haven't seen each other in a while. Oh, wow. I'm really getting ahead of myself. If you are a loved one, if you are a family member, if you are somebody who knows me, you can listen. However, this is a little bit childish. It's a little bit sexual, but I'm going to tell you guys because I have to tell the girls. Carter got back. Okay. And we hadn't seen each other in a while. So obviously what happens, right? When he gets in the door. Okay. We finish. I get up. Okay. And it was like very passionate, right? Like more passionate than ever. I was like, oh my gosh, I miss you. Well, I walk into our bathroom, right? And I look at myself in the mirror. I have a hickey on my neck. When I tell you guys, I have never had a hickey in my life. In my literal life. Maybe way back in the day, somebody had done it somewhere where you couldn't see to like just do it and show me. I feel like that happened once. I don't even know who it was. I shouldn't be saying this online. However, like a real, like Carter didn't try and give me a hickey, like it just kind of happened. Well, I don't think so. And he very much was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I had a hickey on my neck, you guys, for like 5 days. I will post a photo. Oh my gosh, when this episode comes out, I'll put it on my story. And if you listen to this, you'll understand. And if you don't, I'll just have like a lot of people in my DMs asking what the hell. I took a photo because I sent it to my best friend. And I'm like, how am I 27 years old and my boyfriend just gave me a hickey? That is the most embarrassing sentence I've ever said in my life. Literally, I am 27 years old and I got a hickey from my boyfriend. Oh my gosh. I've never had one. Oh my goodness. And so we were going somewhere and I kept forgetting about it because obviously it doesn't feel like anything. Like, I don't know. And I just wasn't used to it. Like the first night that it happened, I could not stop staring. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I kind of just forgot. Well, one day we're going out and Carter was like, are you going to cover that? And I said, no. This was your doing. Okay. If you're embarrassed, that's a you problem because I don't give a fuck. And he's like, oh my gosh. I did end up covering it because I was then embarrassed. However, he got back a few days before we were going on our trip. So that happened. And then it was a lot of just hanging out for really, I think he only got back like 2 days before we were going to leave. So we packed and we left for Montana. If you don't know, Carter's family has a home. So his grandfather on his dad's side bought this house in the early 2000s, I believe 2002, a house on a river, okay, up in like Glacier Park area. If you don't know, Glacier National Park is in the northwest side of Montana. We fly into Kalispell, which is also, they call it Glacier International Airport. And this airport, they're redoing it because people with money have now been moving up there. Like Montana is gorgeous, you guys. If you've never been, I highly suggest you go. Glacier is unreal. Glacier also then connects to like Banff, like Alberta. Have you ever seen Lake Lorraine? I'm sure you've heard of Banff, like gorgeous, gorgeous mountains, the water, the whole spiel. So we're like in the prettiest part of the goddamn country. Okay. But anyways, we fly into Montana. Okay. Grandpa bought the house back in 2002. Great investment. Okay. And now it's going to trickle to his children, right? And like they're kind of sharing it. I don't know how that all works out. And honestly, I'm so new to all of these things and like trusts and the passing down of this because like obviously I come from a family that doesn't have money and like what are we passing down? Nothing. But now technically Carter's dad owns it because the grandpa just doesn't like want the responsibility anymore, but obviously he uses it. I mean, he's the one who originally bought it, but we're all just like allowed to go up there as long as we, you know, request the time. That way it doesn't overlap. Like I know Labor Day weekend, which is actually today, Carter's cousin and her entire family, they have kids and stuff, was going up there. So what a wonderful thing. Like the whole entire trip, we were just talking about like what a great investment. Number one, that grandpa made, just because real estate is a great investment. investment, but like he bought the house and then he set up a trust so that would pay for everybody's flights up there. So he got it to like make memories. Like Carter has been going up there since he was a little kid. 2002, he was only 5 years old. So his whole entire life, like around July 4th, his family would invite their family friends because let me explain the house. So it's on a river. We leave Kalispell, we drive, it's a little bit of a jaunt, and then you pull up, okay, and it's probably like a half acre, I believe, or maybe a little bit more, somewhere between a half acre and an acre of land. So you pull up, there's a long driveway, you pass this huge shed / barn, which I think they built only like 10 years ago, and that holds the jet skis, the boat, ATVs, all of the fun toys, right? The big toys. And then that's to the right. And then you pull up, there's a tiny little shed, which I don't know what that holds. It's like literally tiny. And you pull up and then there's the garage. So the garage is on the left and then it has a little like guest house attached to it. So there's the garage and it's separate. Like you can't get to the guest house through the garage. You go up the patio and to the left, it's like a room, a closet, and a bathroom. And then to the right is the house, which upstairs, it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And then downstairs, okay, you walk, it's this huge open area. They have 2 bunks and a bed in the middle, just like a huge living room, but they've just converted that because, like I was saying, they would invite their family friends. So downstairs is where all the kids would stay, and they have the bunks and they would have air mattresses. And then there's also a bedroom down there. So there's an individual bedroom and then just 1 bathroom. So his family has been going up there for forever. And you guys know they're LDS, they're Mormon. So like all of their family friends have like 1 million kids. I'm not kidding. Like the standard is like minimum 6. So that's not like the literal standard, but all of the family friends I've met, like the least amount of kids. Well, actually Carter's family is because there's only 3 of them, but all of their family friends have like 1 million kids. So like it was so many people, but obviously Carter has so many memories, like fishing, jet skiing, boating, like going to Glacier, hiking, fireworks, like especially him growing up in California where like a lot of this stuff is shooting, you know, going hunting. All of that stuff is like not really as welcomed. Where in Montana, Hickville, they said, if you ain't got a gun, leave. Okay. So, and Carter is so that guy. Like he loves fishing. He loves hunting. He loves blowing shit up. He loves bugs. He loves, okay, obviously not as an adult, but as a kid. So like this is his favorite place ever. It's such a special, special place. And the house is still like the same as it was. So it's like an older, not older house. And it, oh my gosh, the decorations are so cute. Like the very Western and like wood. And I love it. It's just so homey. So we get there and me and Carter are there by ourselves for like 4 days, I think. And this was actually the first time Carter had ever gone up by himself. Like typically his whole family goes up. And like last year when we went, his family was there, but we got like quite a few days by ourselves. So the first day we went to Glacier, we went on a hike, gorge. This is where I obviously posted the photo on Instagram. And then honestly, the rest of the days we would go to the gym. Okay. Cause they all have memberships at the local gym because Carter's dad goes up quite often. He's a big hunter. He's a big fisher and he loves Montana. If he could move there right now, he would. Not if he could, because he could, but Carter's mom is definitely a city gal. Like, and we talked about this with her. She could just never live there full time. She's like a doer. She's a goer. She has her friends in San Diego. She loves like design and like all this stuff. Whereas like Montana just isn't really her vibe for right now, maybe eventually. However, okay, we get there and we honestly just spend a lot of time hanging out at the house. Carter would go in the river, the water, and he brought May. I posted on my story, May Dog knows how to swim. I had literally no idea that she knew how to swim because the family that owned May prior has a lake house or like multiple lake houses on this lot here in Texas. And we would go out there and May would go there. However, the lake here in Texas, I think a lot of lakes here are maybe man-made, and the out or like exterior of the lake is like wood. It's basically, they call it the bathtub effect. It's like a bathtub. Like, I don't really know if I'm explaining this correctly, but the water doesn't like run off to a shore or like a beach. There's literally just like these huge wood panels. So like when you jump into the water, like there's no way you can walk out. Like it's a man-made built situation. Okay, look it up. I don't really know how to describe it. So there's no way that you can just like come off. So obviously, we never put May in the water unless the family did prior, but I never saw her in there because she wouldn't be able to swim out. Like you'd literally have to pick her up and throw her out. I'll maybe find a photo so I can show you guys. However, I had no idea if she could swim. So Carter had gone off the little boat ramp that's attached to the lot. And he was like, okay, I'm just going to like let her go. So he brought her in and here she goes swimming. The story that I posted was the second time she had swam. But the day before, he just took her out there. Okay. She's like already, like paddling her feet before she's even in the water. And then he let go. I thought for sure she was going to sink. I said, she is a brick. She's just going to into the water, but she just swam her little body out. And then something about Maydog, which this might be all dogs, she gets the zoomies like none other when she's wet. Like when we give her a bath, I gave her one yesterday. She's running around, she's tearing shit up. So she gets out of the water and then she's zooming around and it's like an acre lot. You guys, she's running all over the place. I'm so dead. She was the cutest thing ever. So we're so proud. And it's good to know that in case of an emergency, this bitch knows how to swim. Amazing. And also besides that, we had thought all along she was a city girl. No, she's country. We spent a lot of time just sitting on like these super nice lounge chairs that they have, just enjoying the water and the peace and quiet. And I look over, here's Maydog pulling a huge stick. I'm like, oh my God, she's really taking in the scene. She's like, okay, I'm out here in Montana. I'm a country dog. I'm a mountain dog. She's pulling this twig and then she sat there and she just gnawed on them. And we have bones here, you guys, that she chews on, like that's good for her teeth. But she was just accumulating sticks and she was just sitting chewing on them. Oh my gosh, it made my heart so happy. And we went on tons of walks and so many great things. Okay, I now have a crazy story for you. In 1 second. Okay. Carter's parents come in and I don't remember what day, Saturday or Sunday. We go to a bison preserve that's up there and we saw bison. We saw 4 bears. Not only that, is it bear or bears? 4 bears. I think there's an S. It doesn't sound correct. However, we saw one running and then we were driving through. You guys know what like a bison preserve is. It's basically not like a zoo at all. You stay in your car. So it's like a trail that you follow. It was like 2 hours long and they have wildlife. So they had bison and antelope and deer and elk. We didn't see any elk, unfortunately. And bears. So we're driving along and there's a bunch of cars stopped and we look over and we had to use our binoculars, which they weren't really that far. However, in this tree, so there was a mama bear standing on the ground and her 2 cubs were in the tree eating. Okay, we zoom in with the freaking binoculars and there's one at the very top of this tree and it was like a very leafy tree. So it was hard to kind of see. They were like in it, but you could just see the little ears. It was just munching. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. I've seen a bear every single time. The first hike we went on this year when we went to Glacier, just me and Carter, we saw a bear running, a black bear, right before we entered Glacier. Last year we saw a grizzly and we saw another bear at Glacier. Like Carter's dad was like, this is crazy that we're seeing all these bears. Like I never see bears. I'm like, I've seen a bear quite literally every single time I've come here. So I don't know if I'm the good luck charm, but they are so beautiful, wonderful creatures. Anywho, we go home. The next day, you guys, we're going on a hike. Okay, Carter's mom doesn't go on all of the hikes. I think she has like arthritis in her foot or something. So me, Carter, and Carter's dad, we're going to this hike called Birch Lake. This story, you guys, is a story I'm never going to forget. The events that unfolded was just crazy. So me, Carter, and Carter's dad are going on a hike and we are going to Birch Lake and we went in the afternoon, probably like 3 p.m. Okay, we're going to do an evening hike and basically Birch Lake. So you drive up to the top of this mountain. You have to like hike over like 2 peaks and then there's Birch Lake, which is like hidden up in the mountains. It is and was the most beautiful and peaceful thing I had ever seen. I posted a story while on the hike. This was the one where there was like a tree. You saw like it was raining in the distance. It was gorgina. Okay, but let me start from the top. And I also have a story from last summer that's going to tie in, but we'll talk about that after. So we drive. It's 3 p.m. We get up to the parking spot and the hike to the lake is like a good hour and a half 2 hours maybe. Like it's a hefty hike. It's not too steep or anything. There are parts where it was and a little bit sketch balls, but not really. So we set off. We've got our things and we packed some snacks. We're going to go fish because Carter and his dad love to fish. And we're on our way. We get to the lake and it's so beautiful. And we go over and there's like apparently this huge hot fishing spot, and this is where they always go, and it's like well known in Montana, like people who hike this, like there's a fishing spot. So we walk all through around to the west side of the lake, or I think it was the west side of the lake, it doesn't really matter. And there were people camping, so there were like tents, but Carter's dad, I mean, he's done this a million times. Like he's done this hike quite literally a million times. He's like, okay, yeah, we'll just go past, and then right at this like little peninsula is where we'll fish. So we set down our stuff. I'm not fishing. It's not really my favorite cup of tea. I'll do it, but I was like, I just want to like sit here and enjoy and like whatever. So Carter sets out his line. You know, Carter's dad goes over here. He sets out his line. Well, okay, this is the start of the fun. Carter catches a fish right away. He catches a little trout, which is amazing. We get it all hooked up. Okay, cool. Well, it's now 5 p.m. or so, and I'm like, I'm hungry. We packed like PB&Js and just like bars and protein bars and whatever. I lean down. Let me pause. The campers that were like right over by us, or like the tents that we saw, the family came back. So I didn't really get a good look. It was like a dad, like probably 40-year-old dad, two younger girls, maybe middle school, high school, I think grandparents, but they were like very in shape, very fit, and probably a mom. I don't remember seeing her, but they weren't that far. Like they were like right over to our left. Okay, maybe 20 feet. I don't know. I'm not good at distances. Well, I go over to the backpack, right? Carter's fishing. Carter's dad's over here. I'm just like minding my own fucking business. And I pick out the little Ziploc baggie and I take one bite of my sandwich, and I hear the man from my left. He said, hey, could you not eat that sandwich right here in our camping spot? Like, that's why we just went over there to eat. And I'm like, okay, first of all, the tone was crazy, but I immediately, like, I was like, oh my gosh, sorry. Like, I thought I was in the wrong. I thought I was the idiot. I put it away. I was like, oh my gosh, of course. But the fact that he was like, that's why we went over there and ate. I'm like, why would I know where you were and that you were eating? Like, and you guys, I'm telling this after the fact, but during, I was like, oh my gosh, like his tone was a little off. He was like a little bit demanding, but I was like, oh shit, like I'm in the wrong. So I put the sandwich back. I was like, yeah, oh, totally sorry, my bad, right? Because that's who I am. I'm a nice fucking person. I said, I can just wait. I can wait. I was hungry. Don't get me wrong. I was fucking hungry. But I said, oh my gosh, so sorry. Like the polite bitch I am. But I was feeling really bad. Like in the first moments when he said that, when it didn't really click in my head, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm such an idiot. But I'm like, we packed food. Like, surely we were going to eat here. I don't know. So I walked over to Carter and I was like facing the other direction because these people were like back to our left. I whispered, I was like, babe, was I in the wrong? Like, should I not have eaten? Like, oh my God. He was like, no, babe, you're totally fine. We eat here all the time. People eat here all the time. That guy's just being an asshole. Whatever. He was like, I was going to say something, but I was like, nope. And he just kept his mouth shut. And Carter, you guys, is not only like a defender of right and wrong, but like me specifically, like Carter is so much more on edge when I'm around. Like if something's going on, if there's like potentially danger, if there's like conflict, like Carter's like, like he can get aggressive. And I'll tell you a story about last summer, which I might have told on TikTok, but I want to tell it again because it's like very similar. And anyway, so I was like, oh, okay. So like, I wasn't necessarily in the wrong. You know, I felt better. I was like, okay, like that guy, he was like, Brenna, did you hear his tone? Like he was just being an asshole. And I was like, okay, whatever. Well, then Carter's dad had been over to the right, like a little bit away. So I wasn't sure if he caught on or he heard it. And it's funny because the Carter's dad that I know is the most calm, happy-go-lucky, like just very nice person, right? Carter tells me in his childhood he was very strict, which makes sense because now Carter is very diligent. Carter is very, or vigilant, maybe not diligent, maybe both. Okay, I don't know words. And just like dun, 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 like very type A, and like he definitely gets that from his upbringing. However, his dad that I know now is like very like calm and whatever. So I don't know why I'm telling you that. Anywho, he walks over and immediately I'm like, oh my God, I really hope that he grabs something to eat because then I'll feel less like a dumbass, but also like maybe he'll say something, whatever. But I'm like, okay, I watch in the corner of my eye, but I'm kind of facing the other direction. And I hear him reach into the backpack and grab a snack. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And immediately, okay, he is like literally Carter's dad is like pulling the thing out, hasn't opened. I don't know if it's chips or what it was. And the guy's like, hey, I just told her, like, could you not eat in our camp zone? And this time it was like extra aggressive. And Carter's dad was like, hey, man, like, sorry, I'm gonna eat here if I want. This is public land. People eat here all the time. Like, you don't just tell people that they can't eat because this is where you're camping, you know? And he was very nice and calm at first. And then this man like he already like dropped the F-bomb and was like, we were camping here before you were here. You guys came into our camp zone and you guys, it turns into like what I thought was gonna be an altercation. And immediately Carter jumps in because like Carter's just like way more aggressive. And his dad's like a bit more calm in his demeanor, but his dad was like, you know that you're in the wrong. Like, this is public land. You don't own this. Like, we can eat. Number one, people eat here all of the time. He's like, this is the number one fishing spot. If you've camped here before, you know that. And the guy was like, yeah, but still they chose to camp here when this, you guys, is a huge open area. And I'm not trying to like, I get it. And Carter's dad was like, okay. And this was like blowing up because then Carter jumped in and like started not cussing, but like he started getting aggressive. He was like, you know, when you had said to my girlfriend that she shouldn't eat, I thought, whatever, you're not in the right. However, I bit my tongue. But now that you're cussing and like getting whatever with my father, like, absolutely not. Like, this guy was just being such an arrogant asshole and his tone. And he just was like, and Carter's dad was being like very calm and they go at it for a while. And I'm just standing there awkwardly. I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I'm glad if Carter's dad stands up, I'm like, okay, clearly we're okay. We're in the right because Carter's dad is very like meticulous and, you know, he's very religious and he's very like right or wrong. And I believe him that he knows what the fuck he's talking about because he's been coming out here for forever. He fishes, he hunts, and he's a very respectful man in general. Like, he wouldn't just like stir up things to stir up. And he was just like letting this guy know, like, hey, no, like, you know, number one, people quite literally eat here all the time. And he's like, how rude of you to tell people like you don't own this property. Like, go, there are quite literally a million other places that you could camp. You know that this is the fishing hotspot. Like, I like to come here and fish and eat while I fish. Like, sorry about it, you know? And then the guy, they were going at it for like quite some time. And then Carter's dad was like, okay, if you just shut the fuck up. Okay, he didn't say shut the fuck up. He was like, if you don't say another word, I'll put this back and I won't eat here. Even though you're not correct, even though you're in the wrong, I will do that. And the guy kind of like scoffed or whatever. But then he put it back. He shut the fuck up. Carter's dad put his thing back and I was like, oh my gosh. But then the tension was like, oh my gosh. Nobody was speaking. Like, over there, you know, their kids were watching. Like, it was just this whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it is what it is. I don't fucking know. I was like, I'm starving, but I guess I'll wait. Like, it, you know, I'm very much like, okay. But then once that happened, and the guy was just being a total prick. And like Carter's dad was like very gentle, very nice, because that's just like who he is. It was just like so overwhelming. So then they fished a little bit longer. After that one fish that Carter got, we never caught another fish. So we just ended up leaving. It was like 5:36. There were some clouds forming. There was a potential storm. So we're like, okay, let's just get the fuck out of here, right? And it was whatever. And like Carter's dad is like so nice and so like civilized and like good. Whereas like, I want to talk about this for the next 5 days. I want to bash that guy. I want to talk shit. I want to relive the altercation until next week, right? But Carter's dad is very much like let's not talk about it. Like, you know, let's not stew. Like, it is what it is. Let's move on. Like, a very good, wonderful, kind of like my dad, like just a very like happy-go-lucky person. But I'm like, no, I want to fucking talk about it. Anyways, we pack up all our stuff. We move a little bit. I finally get to have my sandwich and we have to like walk a ways to get to the trail. And then to the trail to the car is probably like, give or take, an hour and a half. Okay, you guys, we start on this trail. Not even 1 minute goes by. Carter's dad is in front of me. I'm here. Carter's behind me. Okay, all of the sudden, the wind starts picking up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like spooky, spooky fucking wind. Okay. And just like that, rain, and 2 seconds later, hail. Okay, we just started on this trail and we're going, right? Not even 2 minutes in. It's hailing, it's blowing. We're like, oh my gosh, we have an hour and a half. Anyways, once the hail starts coming down, and it was like gumball size. You guys, Carter was like, Dad, we need to just like get under a tree for a quick second. Like it'll brush over for a little bit and then we can keep moving. So there was a part next to the trail where there were trees, which they really weren't doing that well of protecting us. Carter didn't even have a jacket. He's in a tank top, one of his like muscle tanks. Okay, I just had my tight black Lululemon and a skirt on, and it's freezing. Like once you're in the rain, up top on a mountain, mind you, and there's also lightning. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get struck by lightning. I'm gonna get struck by lightning. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But I was being very calm. I was like, oh, I was shivering. It was cold as hell. Carter's dad had a big old backpack and like had the fishing poles, but we sit under this tree for like maybe 5 minutes and they're like, let's just get fucking moving. This tree isn't actually doing anything. So we keep going. And like the brunt of it kind of passed, but then it was raining the rest of the way. It was windy. We're already freezing. We already got hit by hail. You're just like uncomfortable. I was wearing tennis shoes and I ended up throwing them away. I was wearing my white tennis shoes that I wear all the time, that I wear to run, you guys. And which is fine. I was planning to hike in them and they were pretty dirty. I knew they were like on their last leg, but Carter and his dad had hiking boots, which I think might protect your foot a little. My feet are like literally soaked. And now there's so much water on the trail. I'm just stomping. So my feet are freezing. Carter is like trying not to get hypothermia because it got like pretty cold up there. It's already pretty cold at the top of a mountain. And then with the rain and the hail, oh my gosh. And then it just seemed to take forever to get back, but we're walking through. Oh, this was a part I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to offend anybody. Okay, and I'm gonna like put this like gently, and I never mean bad, ever. Whenever I say anything, you guys, about anything, I'm never trying to like diss or be mean. I'm just like speaking from my experience. Okay, let me explain. Okay, but like Carter's dad is obviously very religious, LDS, Mormon, whatever you want to call it. So like while we were under the tree, he's like saying a prayer. And here's the thing, we also did like a few prayers before dinner. And you guys know, I grew up with no religion. So I cannot express, if you grew up the same way as me, this will make sense. And if you grew up like religious, and even if you like are still in it or not, I don't think you'll understand that anything like in the church or like when people pray, you're supposed to close your eyes, I think. And I don't even know. See, this is why it's so uncomfortable, because I close my eyes, but then I'm not thinking about anything specific. And then I open my eyes and then I feel bad that I opened them. And then I'm looking around and I'm like, am I supposed to be feeling something? Like, am I supposed to be talking to God? Like, I don't really understand it. So then it just like, it just makes me like uncomfortable just because it's unknown, not because of the religion, not because of God, but like, it's just this weird thing that it's just a weird feeling that I get because I feel like a fraud. I'm like, I don't think I should be involved in prayers because I don't even know who I'm talking to. I don't even know what's happening. Like, I understand the sentiment, like we bless this food or whatever, and like that we nourish and we're healthy and safe travels and like what the heck ever. But he like did this prayer and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, like I get it. No, totally, like get us through the storm. But it's just like, there's just this vibe and I was like, just get me to the car. Just get me to the car. I'm freezing my tits off. Okay, if somebody could stop the hail, that would be great. Okay, anyways, I don't know why that was like important for me to tell, but I need to like really set the scene for you, you know, because those were the vibes. Like he was very much like, you know, calling to God or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what is going on. I just know that I'm stuck in a storm and I just want to get out. So finally we make it to the car and it felt like forever, and it probably did take forever because we were obviously trying to book it, but like it was wet, it was uncomfortable. We get to the car, we crank up the heat, we crank up the freaking heat, and we start driving down the mountain. We're like, thank God that's over. Well, we're coming down the mountain, you guys, and all of a sudden there's cars stopped on the road. There's like 4 cars that we can see. Well, Carter gets out, he walks, okay, and then eventually Carter's dad gets out. I'm like, I'm gonna stay here, love you guys, I'm freezing my tits off. And what I gathered and what we assumed was going on, because of the storm that went through, because it was crazy, you guys, for a hot second, there was a huge tree right across the road. Nobody could get through. We cannot get down. Okay. But the people in front of us, the cars in front of us, they had been sitting there for like an hour. they didn't know what to do. Like, what do you do? They couldn't move it. Okay. And there was like quite a few people at this point. So I'm just sitting in the car. It's like, I'm basically in an oven at this point. It's so hot, but I love that. I'm like, I remember Carter's dad came back and he's like, girl, are you good? Like, it's a sauna in here. Can I turn it down? I'm like, I guess, but no, please keep it on. But I get it's not like a comfortable temperature for most people to be in. Anyways, eventually, so they came back. I was like trying to air out Carter's shirt. He went out topless. Okay, shame on him. If I went out topless, he would be mad. However, because his tank top was soaking wet. So I was like holding it over the vents, trying to like dry it off. And they had gone and then they had come back and then they went. And apparently somebody that was up there obviously was from the town. He called his friend. So this guy, Jordan, rest in peace, not rest in peace, God bless, Jordan drove up the mountain with the chainsaw and he chainsawed it. And then Carter and like all of the big, strong, tough men moved the tree and finally we could get down. We were only sitting there for like 30 minutes, which was still a decent bit of time after the altercation, after being stuck in the goddamn storm. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I was telling you guys. It was like the craziest thing ever. So they moved it and then we finally got down and we got to the bottom and two pickups were sitting there and Carter's dad looked over because he's such a kind, wonderful man. He rolled down his window. He's like, Jordan, where do you work? Well, actually, we were here. Okay, we're in one car. To our right is one car. And then to the right of that car is Jordan's car. So we were kind of like playing like phone tag. He was like, ask Jordan where he works. And he works at this HVAC place. And Carter's dad was like, perfect. Thank you. And then the next day, Carter's dad was going to go take $100 to him because he was like, what a good Samaritan. Like, what a kind kid to like come up with his chainsaw. Like, Jordan saved the day. He's like a 20-year-old kid, you guys. But that was so sweet of Carter's dad. Such a great man. Great morals. We love him. Anyways, we get home. Carter's mom was like, how are you guys? We're soaked. We come in. She went to It Ends With Us, the movie. I said, God damn it. I should have went with you, which absolutely not. It was honestly my favorite part of the whole trip. Like, I love that shit. I love just like things that happen. Obviously, like we're going to talk about this forever. It was crazy, you guys. I probably did the story a disservice, but it was like insane. The altercation, the freaking storm, then the tree. It was just like a whole bunch of events wrapped into one, but it was fun. Like after the fact, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. But here's Carter's mom. She was on the couch with May when we got back. They're all cuddled up. She's like, oh, I went to the movie. It was so good. Which, speaking of It Ends With Us, I still haven't seen it. However, this week on Thursday, Carter leaves for a work retreat already. He starts quite literally tomorrow. He starts on Tuesday, the 3rd. Okay. He has a work retreat on the 5th. They're flying him out. So he's going to be gone. So I think on Thursday, I'm going to go to It Ends With Us. I really want to see it. I read the book like quite a few years ago at this point, probably in like 2020. I don't know when it came out, maybe 2021. And I loved it. I wanted to maybe read it again to like remember, but I think for the most part, like, I know, and it doesn't really matter, but I have read the book. Okay. So I do want to see it. And I've been seeing all of the people talk about it. And yeah, so I think I'm going to do that this Thursday. Speaking of also, you guys, laser hair therapy removal. Bitch, what? Laser hair removal. I don't know why I said therapy, but we'll talk about that later. Anywho. Laser hair removal. Current Body, who sent me the LED red face mask, reached out to me. They're like, hey, Brenna, like we have these other things. Like she sent me a list of like 5 different sort of gadgets. She was like, I would love to send you one. Like, you know, yada, yada, the whole PR, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, laser hair removal. I had almost bought. It's the brand called You Like, which is very different from this. This is like an actual laser. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. There's something called IPL and there's something called laser. And I think the laser is like more, not legit, but like better. I don't know. Never mind. Don't quote that. But they sent it and it got here literally the day we left on our trip and we were going to be gone for 10 days. So I called my front desk, or I emailed them actually. I was like, hey, you guys, like, can you run these packages up to my apartment? I don't want them sitting out. I can't have them sitting out because this gadget is like $800, you guys. But I started it 2 days ago. I'm going to do it again today. You have to like really shave everything that you want to do. So I'm doing my legs, I'm doing my pits, and I'm doing my bikini line. And I think that's it. Oh, I think I'm going to do my mustache as well, which I don't really get a bad mustache, but I definitely do get some dark hairs here and maybe my face. And it doesn't hurt or anything, you guys. I tried it for the first time and I'm still figuring it out because it's kind of hard to like make sure I'm getting all of the spots. But we're working on it and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Carter today was like, is it working? I'm like, I have no fucking clue. Because you have to shave before you do it. So there's like no hair coming out. So my leg is just shaved. And obviously it's only been one treatment. So I have to do like 3 times a week for I think 3 weeks. So I'm just doing it every other day. And then you lessen it to like once a week from week 3 to week 12. And then they say you only have to do it once a month, which I don't think I'll keep doing it. I think at that point it's like pretty good. Maybe if I notice that there are some patches or spots that like didn't do as well, but I'm super excited about that. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we had that hike and then we hung out, we ate, we would get breakfast, we'd go to the gym, whatever. Then we flew to San Diego from there. And Maydog, you guys, we had connections between each flight in Salt Lake City to Kalispell and then from Kalispell to San Diego. But every airport pretty much has like pet relief stations now. So we were able to have her go potty. She did so good. She gets a little bit worked up at first, but it's so funny. So I go through like TSA. We have to check her in. It's like $100, whatever. I carry her. And once I get to the like X-ray things, the freaking TSA, I don't know, whatever you have to walk through, the metal detectors. Oh my gosh, bitch. I sound so stupid sometimes. It doesn't matter. I take her out of the crate and I just hold her like a baby. So I just have her as a little baby. I walk through and one of the times, you guys, I was holding her and her head was like back facing, my back, like her head literally like a baby. Well, you guys, Maydog's breath really stinks, like really, really stinks. Well, she yawned and then all of a sudden there was like a lady behind me and she was like, oh, and I was like, oh God, I hope she didn't just breathe in her face and that's why she's making the noise. I don't know why else she would make that noise. I was like, oh my gosh. So then I didn't turn around. I'm like, okay, Mayd, let's go. And I would just like walk over and then Carter would grab all of our bags and things and then I would just set her in, which you guys, Carter, like, he's just such a man. I was thinking about this episode and like talking about all of these things. Carter is just like quite literally a man at the end of the day. And he just like so badly wants to take care of me. Maybe he doesn't want to, but just like naturally does. Like he's got the bags, he's carrying the stuff. He's like making sure that we're here, that we're there, like that I'm taking care of, that I've got my blankets, that I've got a drink, that I've got a snack. Like just such a freaking gem, you guys. And I just love him. And we fly to San Diego and then we spend a few days in San Diego because Carter's parents stayed in Montana and had friends coming. So like, that's why they came. They wanted to spend time with us. And then they had friends coming. So they stayed up there. So then we were at the San Diego house all to ourselves. So we drove up to Orange County where his grandparents are. If you saw my story, you guys, his grandparents have like a few avocado trees. Oh my gosh, they weren't quite ripe yet, which is so sad, which we wouldn't be able to fly with them home anyways, but they live on like maybe a half acre. Oh, I think I confused this house to the Montana house. The Montana house is probably like over an acre. This house, you guys, they're on like an acre in Orange County. And also, they have a dog named Sadie. Okay, so their dog goes to like daycare like 3 days a week just to like run her out and like get her tired because they're obviously older and like can't play with her as well. And she's pretty young. I think she's only maybe like 2 at this point. And so we get there and we were going to go to dinner, but they're like, okay, we got to pick up Sadie. And then she actually has a vet appointment. And so we follow them and we pick her up. And this neighborhood, I think it's called Orange Acre Park. Basically, it's called this because all of these lots are an acre. You guys, this is like in just like LA essentially. Well, Orange County, I think, is a suburb in LA. But right in the heart of like just like these neighborhoods, there's all of a sudden this one big neighborhood and every lot is an acre and they're all horse lots. Okay, we're driving through like there's stalls, there's horses everywhere, like just like in the middle of like a city. I was like, what is this place? And they were explaining that, yeah, like apparently somewhere along the line back in the day, like there was septic or something under a good part of this neighborhood. So then they needed to like, they couldn't build on top of it. So then they started just making these big yards and thought like, let's make this a horse community. So we pick up Sadie, which is at one of these houses. So they don't have horses, but this is where the dogs play in like this huge fenced yard that they have. Okay. And then we drive like not even a block and the veterinarian is like outside. So we like pull up and it's like this little shed with those doors that are like half where they have the slit in the middle. So we walk in and like the top part's just open. Like it was like an outdoor veterinarian essentially. And Sadie has her appointment and then there's horses on the property, there's goats. And like, you guys, this isn't the country. Like this is so mind blowing to me because it's just like right in the middle of Orange County. It was so crazy, but so gorgeous. We were obviously looking on Zillow. We're like, holy fuck. And actually his grandparents were telling me, or his grandma was saying, she's like, yeah, I looked at a lot because she loves horses, but she was like, they don't have any first floor or just one floor, one story, and that wouldn't work. At their current house, it's a huge house, but they have one of those things installed where she can sit down and it carries her up the stairs. So like, unless they were able to find like a flat, you know, just one floor, I obviously don't think they'll move because they have that chair. But anyways, that was so fun. We ended up going to Old Town Orange. We went to a restaurant called the Tavern. Oh, the Haven. I'm not really sure. Something like that. And then we walked around and in this little old town, there's a ton of antique stores, Army Navy stores. So we like bopped around a little bit and it was so nice. And then in San Diego, we went to the beach one day and we went in the water. It was so nice, you guys. Like typically I feel like the water is cold, or the last time I went it was. This time it was so nice and so warm. So me and Carter went in the water and he showed me the freaking sea crabs. Is that what they're called? Water crabs, sea crabs, sand crabs. These crabs are just like burrowed into the sand and he like lifted up and there were like these tiny little crabs. I'm like, what the? I'd never seen anything like that. You guys, if you know, I've only been to like literally ocean beaches like maybe 10 times in my whole entire life. So like all of the things is so new to me. Like he's explaining like the tides and the waves and just like all of this random bullshit that probably is common knowledge to a lot of people. But I'm like, I didn't know there's like a science to these things. I didn't know there's just these sand crabs down below. Oh, we also hiked Torrey Pines again, which has kind of become one of our favorite things to do. Torrey Pines is like just these cliffs right on the water. So we went on a hike one morning and then got burritos after. It was amazing. And now we're here, you guys. We are back in Dallas. I'm going to wrap this up. This is just a little catch up episode. Let me make sure that I went over everything that I wanted to go over. Carter starts work tomorrow when this episode comes out, and my life is about to forever change. I think he's going to be working from like 8 to 7 every day, or in the office at the very least for probably this first year. So I need to figure out a schedule with like going live and like what I want to film and doing the podcast. I was also thinking, and I want to hear your guys' feedback about potentially splitting up my episode. And I don't know if this is a wonderful idea or a horrible idea, but I feel like some people are here to listen to me gab and some people want like the advice and like the dating stuff. Should I split these up and have like on Monday be either the gab sesh and that whole thing, the books, yada yada, and then let's say on Friday come out with like the substantive, like the topic, the dating, the breakup, the relationships, like split them up? Because I could film them like I do. I could film them at one time, but just have 2 separate episodes. Or are we okay with one? Because I've had some feedback, you know, like people are like, if I want to listen to the episode or like the topic at hand, like I have to listen to you not shut the fuck up for the whole entire first half. And I'm like, no, totally. But a lot of you like this part and like, I don't know, maybe you like the mix. Let me know what you think, because I don't think it would be that much work, more work, but I could just put them out in 2 episodes. But they probably would be smaller because together they make like an hour. Maybe I could find a way to like longevity them, lengthen them. Oh my fucking God, longevity them, Brenna? Don't mind me. But you know what I'm saying? So let me know on that. And oh, the last thing I wanted to tell you guys, the entire 10 days. Okay, so we flew into Montana and I was telling you about the downstairs. We take the downstairs bedroom because it's coolest, right? And it's a bedroom. Well, We left May out in the big area. We put blankets on the floor, whatever. This bitch starts crying in the middle of the night. So I get up, I open the door, I scoop her, and I go and just lay on one of the bottom bunks. I'm like, I need the deepest sleep ever of my life. We just spent the whole day traveling. I'm like, May, just shut up. And the main thing is, Carter and I here at our apartment have a king bed. Okay, we have a king. The bed in the room downstairs is a queen. So like, oh my gosh, Carter is just such a big man, you guys. And he takes up like the whole fucking bed. In my opinion, he says that I take up the bed. However, I was like, okay, let me just go on one of these bunks and I'll be separate and whatever. Well, I had the best night's sleep of my life. So the rest of the week in Montana, you guys, we slept in different beds. We slept in different beds, which is like so dumb and who cares? But I slept in the bottom bunk and then he ended up, the bed in the middle of that room, I think, is a queen. So instead of just being in the room, he just slept out there. And then me and May took a bunk. And then you guys, okay, so a week goes by, which it was super nice because it was so cute. Like Carter would tug me in. So we'd get ready for bed. I would like hop into the bunk, right? He'd tug me in. He'd give me some smooches and then he would go over and then I would like read or whatever. It was just hilarious. Like it was kind of like we were having a sleepover, which was like so cute and fun. And then we were getting such good sleep. Well, kind of. It's not the same as being in your own bed. But you guys know, like it was better than being in a queen with him. Okay. Well, also in the morning, I would wake up and then I would like go and cuddle. And like, we aren't in that zone. Like when we're here, you know, we read, we go to bed, and then I wake up first and then I'm out of here. So it was so nice to like cuddle in the mornings. And it was also just so nice to like relax. Like Carter hasn't had a chance to breathe in so long. Like it's been law school and then the bar. And so we thought we would go to Montana and like do this, and the other. We spent so much time just like hanging out at the house and like lounging around, but it was like so nice because we don't do that on our day to day, you know? Well, then we fly to San Diego and we are in one of the bedrooms and all of the bedrooms there are queens, right? Well, we go to bed, okay, and in the middle of the night or like early on, I remember hearing Carter get up and then I heard the air go on. So I'm like, oh, he just got up to like turn on the air because it was like pretty hot. Well, all of the sudden, in the middle of the night, Maydog was in our room. Okay, I hear her crying and I'm like, oh my gosh, but I didn't want to pull her up because she's so loud and I know that wakes Carter. So I hopped to the floor. Okay, I'm like, let me just lay here with her for a second. I'm like, I don't want to be dealing with this, whatever, right? Pretty soon I'm sitting there, I'm still awake, and I don't hear Carter breathing. And I'm like, is he in here? And I remembered he had gone out of bed to fix the air, but I don't remember him coming back. Like, I think I was asleep by that time. I stand up, you guys. This is after like spending 30 minutes on the ground. I get up and I feel on the bed, he's gone. He's in a different bed. I'm like, not only did I jump down to this floor, I should have checked that he wasn't there, but I was like, oh my gosh. So I grab May, I get on the bed and we wake up and Carter comes out. I'm like, did you go to the other bed? He's like, babe, these queens are killing me. I was like, no, I get it. Like it is very uncomfortable because we're so used to a king. So then in San Diego, the rest of the 3 nights or however many nights, he slept in a different room. We were in different rooms and he would tug me in. So we would get ready for bed. He would come in, he would like tuck me in, you know, make sure the blankets were underneath me, smooch, 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 smooch. And then he would leave and he would go to his bedroom. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, he's sending me like YouTube shorts that he's watching. I'm like, babe, I'm reading. Oh my gosh, you guys, book update. I didn't talk about the books. I read Icebreaker, okay, by Hannah Grace is maybe her name. It was a romance. It was a smut. I loved it. It was a quick and easy, wonderful read. I read Heart Bones by Colleen Hoover. Loved it. I never hear people talk about that book. And it was like so cute and good. And I loved the element of like, you know, this sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, but like drug addiction and like growing up in that household. Like I feel like in books like similar to Icebreaker, like they're these very affluent, you know, rich, I guess the girl, you know, comes from the foster program, but it's like nice to see like realistic things, you know, like the girl's mom overdosed, which isn't like the norm by any means, but you know, I feel like we don't talk about those things enough. And then I read Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. You guys know I love Lucy Foley. Wonderful. I just read that. And then I'm trying to think that might be it because I didn't get to read a lot. We were so busy. And then by the time we got into bed, I was exhausted. So I didn't read quite as much. I'm excited to get back into it. And that just reminded me of something else Oh, I went to Genesis Women's Shelter yesterday, which is a nonprofit organization, a huge one here in Dallas. And it's a women's shelter for women and kids that are in abusive households. Okay. They help women leave their situations, like get jobs, house them. Okay. If they are, it doesn't even have to be physically abused, emotionally, financially, spiritually. Okay. And it's such a great cause. And they showed me around their facility, which was incredible, you guys. Like, they have group therapy and they have counselors individual, and they have rooms for the kids to like express themselves and also get therapy. And like, it was amazing. The girl was so kind. Her name, you guys, her last name, Berg. Okay. And she's like, I loved that already off the bat. She's like, where are you from? And I was like, well, I'm from North Dakota, born and raised. She's like, no fucking way. Her dad is from North Dakota. I'm like, okay, number one, there are just a lot of Bergs in North Dakota. So I don't think that we are related, but I was like, small world. She wasn't raised there, but she was so kind. She's like the communications person. And then I met with another woman, and they just talked about getting involved in like Genesis Young Leaders. They have like monthly events. They have nights where like they have activities for the kids at the shelter where the women actually live. And I'm definitely going to get involved. I'm going to join. It's like $100, and then I'll be a part of all of the events. They were amazing. What they're doing is amazing. It fits so perfectly like with what I believe in and getting women out of toxic situations, which that is the extreme version. But I loved it, and that was amazing. And I'll talk more about that as I know more. But I posted on my Instagram story, so I know you guys saw that. Okay, you guys, I'm going to shut up. I am going to get my ass to work. And next Monday, you guys, will be a week after Carter started working. And like, our world is forever about to change. Just like financials, you know, him being gone out of the house Monday through Friday. Like, it's going to be so different. And I'm excited to like, you know, also get more into the grind with the podcast and the filming and like other things that I can be involved in. But that is my catch up from the last week. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you next Monday. Okay, bye guys.